So I'm making this video for people that are going through a breakup that's just not a normal breakup. It's not even an extremely painful breakup. It feels like it's something on another level. It literally feels like you're going insane. It feels like the thoughts, the relentless ache, the pain, the overwhelming dread, the hopelessness, all the most extreme words actually apply in situations like this. It just feels like what you're going through is literally unbearable. There's a phrase that I coined. I didn't come up with the term limerence, obviously, but limerence is usually associated with something like love, right? It's that feeling that you get when you find that magical person and you see how incredible they are and you fall head over heels. That honeymoon stage, that's also called limerence. What people don't know is that there's another phase of limerence. Limerence isn't always a positive thing. And just like you feel this overwhelming sense of, I found the one, this euphoric sense of, I found my happily ever after, my knight in shining armor, or the love of my life. When you lose that person, you go through what I've kind of coined as the dark limerence. And the reason I call it the dark limerence is because we're used to that magical feeling when you're falling in love. On a scale of 1 to 10, when you're in limerence going into love, it's like they're a 15. They're amazing. There might not even be a number. Like I remember thinking that this person's not only perfect, they're beyond perfect. If I could sit down and write out or create the perfect person, this real person surpasses what I could have imagined. So it's just kind of that fairy tale. It's that level of love and happiness that makes other people around you sick. Most people don't really understand just what happens to you when you're going out of love, when you've been rejected, when you've been broken up with by the person that you thought was beyond perfect. The person that you thought, when you imagined your future, you didn't see the future without them because you trusted in their love for you as much as you knew that you loved them. And it just kind of rattles you to a degree that most people don't understand. There are different levels to breakup. Not every breakup is the same. There are some levels that are excruciating. It goes all the way up to the level of you can die from a broken heart. It's called the broken heart syndrome. These kind of breakups literally make you feel like you're going insane. You feel like you're in constant pain. It's also known as rejection sensitive dysphoria. People that suffer from that, when they go through a breakup, on a scale of 1 to 10, that pain is 1,000. So people have been asking me lately what exactly happens. They want to understand what they're feeling. They want to be able to process it. And sometimes when your pain far surpasses your understanding, it can create an emotionally traumatic bond. So now you're fixated not only on the loss, but you don't even understand yourself. You don't understand what you're feeling or how to stop it. So this video is to kind of understand and explain, to give you a little bit of a grasp on what you're feeling and why. It won't necessarily take it away. It won't take away the pain, but it'll make it a little bit more bearable because you'll at least understand what's happening to you. And keep in mind too, when you're in as much pain as you're in when you're in that state of dark limerence, that pain is so strong that it's a powerful motivator. So when somebody comes along and says, hey, you should try no contact, or hey, you should start dating other people, or hey, you should just come hang out with us and get your mind off of it, none of those things will seem like a possibility to you. Because again, on a scale of 1 to 10, your pain is just overwhelming you. What I compare it to, it's like, imagine that you're one of those baby fire ants, like the smallest ants you can imagine. And then somebody opens up a fireman's hose on that ant. And people are telling the ant, hey, just stay strong. It doesn't matter how aware. It doesn't matter how conscious you are of the fact that you're not physically dying. It doesn't matter that you consciously know you can date other people. Yeah, of course you know you're probably going to wake up tomorrow. That doesn't mean that you want to wake up tomorrow. And when you're really in the midst of this pain, it's so overwhelming that it's a powerful motivator to do something. If somebody sets you on fire and everybody around you is telling you to stay calm and don't worry, just give it 2 or 3 months, that's not going to do you much good. And what you're really going to feel inside is the people around me giving me this advice have no idea how much pain I'm in. So again, this video is to try to give some understanding to that. What's happening when you go through a breakup, especially if you feel like that person, you didn't see it coming? That blind shot is going to hurt you more. It's a lot like boxing. The punch you don't see coming is the one that's going to knock you out. Well, and emotions kind of work the same way. If you didn't see it coming, it rattles you. There's a part of your mind that kind of regulates reality. It has a strong sense of the past, the present, and the future. It's like you kind of always know where you are in your story. Well, when you lose somebody that you didn't expect to lose, it rattles your past. It shakes you up. You don't know, well, how long have they been thinking about it? Like last week when we were out of town, last month when we were on vacation, last night when we slept together, before they broke up with me today. Does that mean that they weren't feeling for me what I thought they were feeling for me? And part of real love, if you're an authentic person, is part of how we have our identity is based on how other people see us. Well, this person, if they were a meaningful part of your life, they were a big cornerstone on how you saw yourself. Somebody just kind of knocked that cornerstone out from under you now. So your foundation isn't nearly as strong. Your past is rattled. Your present is in constant torment because you're trying to figure out how you got to this place. and your future just seems like it's full of dread. So your reality on that whole timeline, past, present, and future, is now, it's like somebody threw it into a blender. And again, people around you are saying, hey, I know what you're going through. I've been through it once. I remember when somebody broke up with me, that was a rough couple of weeks. Well, you might have been in this, if you're in this state of mind, you might have been in this state of mind for weeks, plural, months, plural. It can last longer. It's a much more powerful, much more agonizing feeling, and that will contribute to you feeling more broken. So what's happening to you there, and it usually happens to people that are gifted, people that are exceptional. So there's probably something, if this insane level of pain is resonating with you, then chances are, take a deep breath, think about the other areas of your life where you excel. You're probably more creative. You're probably more, in a lot of ways, you might be more intelligent. You might be more compassionate. You might be more empathetic. Or you might be more bold. You might be more driven. You might be more competitive. But the point is, usually the people that go through the most insane levels of agony after a breakup are actually exceptional people in multiple ways. And what's happening is that intensity, the same things that give you your gifts, is what you might call as unusual gifted levels of intensity. Well, what do you think happens to that person when they go through an emotional crisis? Their pain is going to be greater too. If you're more intelligent, if you're more creative, if you're more compassionate, if you're more driven, if you're more everything, then of course, when you go through a breakup, you're going to be in more pain. But we don't associate emotional pain with strength. We associate emotional pain with physical pain. Pain is a sign of weakness, brokenness, a wound that needs to get stronger, that needs to heal. So we try to shake it off. The more you try to shake it off, your subconscious doesn't understand a negative command. So you tell yourself not to think about this more. The more you tell yourself not to think about this, the more your brain is going, you mean this? Don't think about this? Hey, this is really important. We're not supposed to think about this. It's really important we don't think about this. So all you're doing is adding to the prominence, to the priority in your mind of the thing you're trying to shake off. So stop trying to shake it off. On a physical level, there are also things going on in your bloodstream. There are literally things. It's like fate just kind of created this powerful, horrible, miserable cocktail and keeps injecting it to you every day. It's like there's an invisible nurse that keeps just kind of pumping this stuff into your blood that's going to make sure that you stay completely in agony. And not to get too clinical, I'm not trying to turn this into any kind of a medical channel, but there are a few things that are happening to you. Number one, cortisol is getting flooded into your bloodstream. And cortisol is a lot of fun. Number one, if you go through it a lot, people with ADHD, people with borderline, people that really kind of suffer from feeling emotions to a deep level on a consistent basis are usually getting flooded with cortisol on a much higher level than most people. That's what can create actual health disorders and problems, medical issues. High cortisol levels are associated with a lot of diseases because your body is not built to feel that all the time. It spikes your stress, it spikes your anxiety. It gives you a sense of depression, anxiety, and excitement all at once. You know that feeling of insanity? It's because it's hard to put your finger on it. If somebody asks you, are you sad? Yes. Are you depressed? Yes. Are you excited? Excited, happy? No. Excited in a state of like, shaking, on edge, on high alert? Yes. You're kind of feeling flooded with all kinds of emotion. Well, hey, thank you for that cortisol. That's one of the big things that causes it. Adrenaline floods your bloodstream because your mind just knows on some level that you're in a crisis. In a crisis, your body releases adrenaline, which can make your heart pump, which can make your heart pound, which can make you just more excited, again, on a state of high alert. So you're depressed and in a state of high alert all at the same time. It literally feels like you don't know who you are. It'll just kind of feel like you're going through what feels like a bout of insanity, but you're conscious of who you are because you're not literally insane. Another one that goes right in hand with adrenaline is norepinephrine. It heightens that state of alert. It heightens that state of focus. So if you want to know how you can kind of like see a little bad sign about your ex, let's say that you find a way to spy on them. You look at their Instagram, you look at their Facebook, and you see one piece of information. You're on a state of high alert. Your brain is completely activated. So you get one little detail, and your mind will concoct and create this entire false reality. And it's always a scary false reality. Like I had a client say he was going to the gym, and he was talking to a couple of his friends, and one of his friends was talking about a girl that he'd hooked up with the night before, that he'd never met before. He had a one-night stand. And he said he didn't even think about it until he left the gym. And then he remembered that his friend had mentioned that she had dark hair. And in his mind, he created this reality where the guy he had just spoken to had probably just slept with his ex, just because he said that she had dark hair. And he got worked up. And he became so convinced of it that he went and confronted his friend to make sure that it wasn't, and needed evidence that it wasn't his ex. that his friend had slept with. And he said, I don't really know how to describe it other than I didn't even think about it when he was telling the story. But when I got in my car, I just started putting two and two together. But he was putting two and two together and getting 137. It's like your mind is in that state of high alert, state of high focus, and state of high pain. And you're trying to make sense of things, but you might not have all the pieces to the puzzle. So your brain is going to create a reality that in many cases is your greatest fear come to life. In a lot of ways, we're naturally wired to survive by anticipating the worst. So in a high crisis moment, you're going to survive more if you anticipate danger more than if you just, I'm just going to accept that, hey, the good things are going to happen. Cavemen wouldn't have survived if they just assumed the best. They had to prepare for the worst. So there's a part of that self-preservation instinct is to anticipate the darkest reality and prepare for it. When you're going through a breakup, your mind is kind of doing the same thing. So you get adrenaline, you get norepinephrine. It's kind of combining and putting you in that state of almost like a state of battle, but there's nothing to battle. So you just stay on high alert looking and trying to be aware of everything. I talk to clients that will spend literally sometimes 12, 14, 15 hours straight online just doing investigation, research, trying to find out, are they with somebody else? When did they start talking to somebody else? How long have they been in love with somebody else? I bet they're going to get married. I could tell you stories of people that have completely created and believed a false reality that has then tormented them into oblivion. So take a deep breath. Take this as a rule of thought. If you can create this false reality in your mind based on one or two pieces of evidence, that's a strong likelihood that whatever it is you're imagining isn't true. I used to have to tell myself that. All right, if I just imagined it, odds are it's not reality. That's my own pain. That's your own impressive mind combined with fear, combined with logic, which is a really poor predictor of relationships and somebody else's behavior, and making this almost tangible version of your worst reality. Don't trust it. Another thing that happens, another hormone that comes to torment you is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the love hormone. So that's what you felt when you were in the honeymoon stage, when you were in the positive, the limerence that everybody loves. Well, now that's going to drop. So that sense of being right, that sense of being with the right person, that sense that things are good and that you have a consistent sense of past, present, and future, that gets pulled out from under you. So while you're getting hit with all these anxiety, nerve-wracking, high alert, losing your mind kind of sensations from these hormones, you're also going to be losing part of that sense of strength, part of that sense of rightness, part of that sense of, I can just breathe. I'm with the right person. I like my life. I like who I am. I like who I am when I'm with the person that I like to be with. That's something else that you lose. When you really fall deeply in love with somebody, you not only fall in love with them, you fall in love with the version of yourself that you feel like when you're with them. Now they're gone. They don't just take themselves and leave. They take that version of how you saw yourself when you were with them. That goes away too. And now you're left with almost, in some ways, a blank state. Well, if they didn't see me that way, if that's not how they value me, if that's not who I am to them, maybe that's not who I am at all. I mean, it would be vain of me to think that I'm this great person if they don't think I'm a great person, and they know me better than anybody. If they rejected me, then if I'm being honest with myself, shouldn't I reject myself? That's a logical, powerful, emotional compulsion. It's not true, but it feels true in the moment. Along with oxytocin, serotonin drops as well. So you had these two hormones that were actually making you feel like Superman. Now they get taken away. Now all the negative ones come in. So you not only feel like you're not Superman, you feel like you feel like you're choking to death with kryptonite. The drop in serotonin along with the drop in oxytocin can actually add to this sense of depression, this sense of like lethargy, this sense that it's not even sometimes this deep, deep sadness. Sometimes that sadness can be so powerful that it just turns into a state of numb. You just feel like you're a zombie. You don't even feel like, some people, when they get really sad or they get really depressed, they start eating and they start doing and they start, one of the things I would do is just kind of shake. Well, there's another version of extreme sadness where you just don't feel like you can even move. It feels like somebody ripped out all of your batteries, ripped out all your motivation. It feels like somebody ripped out your soul. You'll struggle finding a purpose. And you know in your mind that there's more to your life than that person. You know that consciously. But how your body's reacting and how you feel to like a bone deep level is there's no point. I don't even want to get off the couch. I don't have to worry about getting out of bed. I didn't make it to bed last night. I slept on the couch because the bed reminded me of them. I didn't even make it from here to there. But now I don't want to get off the couch. It's a paralytic. Depression is a paralyzer. So sometimes it won't feel like sadness. Sometimes you might be kind of floating between those two things. Again, it's because you're going through this natural, powerful, emotional cocktail of hormones that's hitting you like a sledgehammer and making you believe in a reality that's not true about who you are, about what your life is, about what your future is, about what your past is, and about just reality in general. It's just getting thrown into a warped machine. Don't trust what you feel. That person is not as irreplaceable as they will seem to you. It's not as hopeless to get them back as it will feel to you. You're not as broken as you're going to be absolutely convinced you are. You've literally, it's like if somebody gave you truth serum and then you beat yourself up because you just found yourself talking too much. Nature is giving you a new dose of this every morning. You can be flooding with these hormones for weeks, sometimes months. It depends on the person. Again, not every breakup is the same. And going right along with serotonin and oxytocin is dopamine. So just remember that powerful high you felt. Again, you felt supercharged. You felt almost superhuman when you were falling in love. All of that's getting ripped away from you now at the same time that the negative hormones are coming in. These feelings that give you a sense of darkness, a sense of hopelessness, a sense of dread, a sense of lack of belief in yourself, a lack of belief in the future. And I can tell you right now, I promise you, whatever state you're in with your ex, there have been millions of couples who have been worse off than you are right now with your ex that got back together. I can tell you that factually. It won't mean anything to you because these hormones will convince you, yeah, I know, but that was them. And whatever those couples were, they didn't do what I did. Whoever those couples were, they weren't with my ex. And you're right. Your ex is your ex. They're unique. Your problems are your problems. They're unique. But what you're feeling right now, your sense of judgment, your sense of reality, your sense of logic, it's not trustworthy. Take a deep breath. Just give yourself permission to hope. If I told you right now it's 100% guaranteed that your ex is going to come back, you'd be foolish to trust me. I'm not telling you to trust me it's a 100% chance. I'm not telling you it's a 100% chance. But just like you know that's not true, it's not true that there's a 0% chance they're not coming back. If they're still alive, you still have a chance. Now, I'm not, this video is not for people that have done atrocious, horrible, unspeakable things, right? And I'm not talking about disappointment. I'm not talking about overworking. This video isn't for people that have done just horrific things. Another thing you'll do instinctively when you're in this state of mind is reject all possibilities that there's really a chance to get this back. Even though you're watching this video, a lot of people are watching this video trying to find out how to get their ex back while they believe that there's absolutely no hope. Those two things are in contradiction. That's because your heart and your mind are at war. Don't really trust either one of them. Your mind is going to tell you, I don't need them back. It's never going to work. I don't want false hope. Push it away. If they don't want me, I don't want them. Your heart, on the other hand, is going to tell you that I don't know how to get over them. Even though I think it's hopeless, even though I don't think I have a chance, I've got to do something. Because again, you're in so much pain. Pain is a powerful motivator. So you're actively working towards something you have no belief in. That'll add to that sense of insanity. So give yourself permission to accept the reality that there's a chance. Even if you're a horrible person, and I'm not saying you deserve a second chance. I'm not automatically on your side because you're watching this video. But even if you're a complete douchebag, there's a chance that you can win them back. I mean, I hope that you change. I hope they don't take you back if you are a douchebag who won't change. But when we're just talking about the point of, do you have a chance? Is there hope? Yes, there is. But the point of this video is to just try to explain what happens and why you're feeling what you're feeling. If your breakup isn't just painful, isn't just really painful, but is somewhere around that unbearable, I feel like I'm completely overwhelmed. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having to call in sick from work. Even when I do go to sleep, it's maybe for 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm having dreams about them and I'm waking up. If you just feel like you've absolutely been paralyzed, if you feel so much emotional pain that it feels literally like physical agony, then sometimes understanding what you're going through can help you not trust that overwhelming compulsion to believe the absolute worst about you, about the chances of them coming back, about the future, and even about the past that you thought was so precious and so important to both of you. So if you're going through that, I hope this helps. It's the kind of thing that I've been through it. I've lived through it. I know what it feels like. And even though you do eventually crawl out of that pit, when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't seem like there's hope. Not only hope to get them back, it just seems like the rest of your days are going to be spent a little bit, at least a little bit sad, a little bit with a hint of tragedy, with a sense of loss that you'll never fully recover from. I'm telling you from personal experience, it's not true. There are better days. It's not as hopeless as it's going to feel. You're not as broken as you believe that you are. And they're not as incredible. They're not as perfect as your mind is convincing you right now that they really are. There are things you can do while you're in this pain that won't sabotage you. Most of your impulses, because they're driven by pain, desperation, guilt, regret, are actually going to compel you to do things that will actually sabotage you trying to win them back and sabotage you rebuilding that sense of self-worth and you shaking off and pulling out of this hormone experience that I'm talking about. There are things you can do that not only help you win them back, but help this process in your body that you're going through stop sooner. You won't have total control of your body releasing these hormones or pulling back from these hormones. So it's not like you can just decide to come out of that dark limerence, but there are things you can do to simultaneously re-attract them and pull yourself out of this agonizing natural body process at the same time. I hope that makes sense, right? If you're going through this, please think about giving me a call. I work with people that go through this exact experience. It doesn't have to be to this level, but if I can be of any use, you can find me at realcoachken.com. And if this video has been any help to you at all, please consider giving me a like, a share, or a comment below. And I've just started a Discord. Link will be in the description, and I'll be back again soon. Thanks a lot.